Hey everybody, I hope you can see my screen. I had a little technical glitch there. Well, I just wanted to thank you guys for joining me on the webinar today. I'm going to be talking about internet marketing and SEO techniques to help market your plumbing and HVAC business online. I do want to keep this webinar as interactive as possible. I know Wayne just mentioned you got the question box. Please use that throughout the presentation. Just to kind of introduce myself, my name is Josh Nelson. I'm the owner of Plumber SEO. We specialize in providing internet marketing and search engine optimization services, specifically to plumbing and HVAC contractors throughout the United States. Got a picture of myself and the team up on the screen. We love internet marketing, and we love working with plumbing and HVAC contractors, and really spend not just our working days, but our free time too, researching and coming up with the latest ideas and techniques on how we can help our clients get better results. We wrote the book, The Complete Guide to Internet Marketing for Plumbing Contractors. It's on Amazon.com. And the ideas, techniques, and strategies that went into writing that book and go into our day-to-day work are exactly what I'm going to be sharing on today's webinar. So, take out a notepad. I think you're going to get a lot of good ideas, insights, and strategies. And again, I want to make this as interactive as possible, so please ask questions. Just to kind of give you a feel for what we're going to be covering and what we're going to be going through, I'm going to start by talking about why search engines and internet marketing is so important for plumbing and HVAC contractors. I'm then going to kind of demystify what's going on the search engines. When you run a search for plumber plus your city, or HVAC plus your city, or AC repair plus your city, there's a lot of different things going on the search engine. There's a lot of different listings, and I'm going to demystify what that is and help you kind of put together a strategy for each one of the core sections on the search engine. From there, I'll cover what's kind of been the #1 question I get from plumbing and HVAC contractors on a daily basis, and that's, how do I get my company listed on the Google map when someone types in my city plus plumber, my city plus plumbing? And I'm going to spend a lot of time not just explaining how to claim your place's listing, but really more in-depth strategies on what you need to do to really improve the probability of showing up on the map. From there, I'll talk about SEO and getting listed in the organic listings of the search engines. I'll share the 25 most commonly searched plumbing keywords and HVAC keywords, and kind of talk through how you can leverage those keywords on your website, what pages you should build, how you can optimize those pages to rank as often as possible when people are looking for you. I'm going to talk about the most important online directories. I think you're all familiar with Angie's List and CitySearch and Yelp.com. I'm going to talk about the ones that we're seeing actually produce the best return on investment from a paid perspective for our clients throughout the United States, and kind of share that with you. And then I'm going to talk about social media, how you as a plumbing and HVAC contractor can leverage Facebook and Twitter and Google+, not just to post interesting stuff, but really to engage with your customers and get more repeat and referral business. So I know there's a lot of information here. I've got about an hour slated for the presentation, and I hope to answer your questions along the way. Just so you know, and I wanted to pull up a couple of these screenshots so you can get a feel for some of the results that these types of strategies can produce. And I've got a screenshot up here. One of the clients we work with in Fort Lauderdale, spot A on the map for Fort Lauderdale plumber. Atlanta plumber, spot A on the map. Rancho Cucamonga plumber, spot A on the map. Santa Monica plumber, spot A on the map. Miami plumber, multiple page 1 listings. And I don't do that to brag, and I don't want you guys to say, oh, okay, listen to this guy up on his high horse. I just want you to know that the same ideas, strategies, and techniques that went into getting these top positions in very competitive markets throughout the United States are exactly what I'm going to be covering on this webinar. So, this isn't theory. This isn't, that we read a book somewhere and kind of regurgitating what we read. This is based on proven principles that work in competitive markets. So let's get started. So let's talk about why search engines and internet marketing is so important for plumbing and HVAC contractors. And it really all starts with the fact that there's been a major transition just in the last 10 years from what was known as offline marketing to now what's online marketing. It wasn't that long ago that if you as a plumbing or HVAC contractor purchased a really large ad in the Yellow Pages, had a nice wrap on your truck, you could get a decent amount of business in your market just with those two main advertising strategies. Because the majority of the people, when they needed a plumber or they needed an AC technician, would go to the Yellow Pages, open the book, go to the right section, and if you were there, you got the calls. The reality, unfortunately, is though that the velocity of use, or the number of people using the Yellow Pages, has declined significantly. People aren't going to the Yellow Pages at the same velocity that they used to, so that begs the question, where are they going? Where do they look when they need your services? And the answer, for the most part, is they're going to the internet. They're going to Google, they're going to Yahoo, they're going to Bing, they're going to CitySearch and Angie's List. As a matter of fact, a survey done through ComScore found that of 2,000 consumers, more than 86% of them indicated that they use the internet in some form when they're looking for your types of services. There are over 20 million searches every single month for plumbing and AC related services. We're able to look at some of the APIs on Google and Yahoo and Bing and look at historic search trends, and we just know there's a lot of people looking for these services online. And just to give you an example, one of the customers that we work with down in the Tampa market was a big time Yellow Page advertiser, and he's been servicing the Tampa area for over 20 years. Early on, he decided, you know what, I need to get involved in internet. I need to set up a website and make sure that I'm at least online. And what he found was it was hard to get his company ranked when someone typed in Tampa plumber, Tampa plumbing contractor. And so as we started working with him, we put some call tracking tools in place so we could gauge exactly how many calls were coming in via the web. In the first month, actually just as we're getting the call tracking number in place on his website, he had 11 calls via the web. And you could probably ascertain that those are from organic calls. Somebody typed in his company on a search result, found his website, and called in. In implementing internet marketing strategies and techniques and getting ranked, by the third month, he had 57 calls. And that's just in a 30-day period. That's not, totaling. By the third month, he got 57 calls within that month directly via the web. And now I can tell you, looking at at the reporting on his 9th month, he had 125 inbound calls. And now, he's been doing this, for quite some time now. He averages over 130 to 140 calls every single month directly via the web. So I give this example just to show you that there's a major opportunity for you in your market in implementing an effective internet marketing strategy. It's not just something that you can say, hey, I'm ranked well. It's not an ego play. It's being sure that your position when people are looking for what you do is going to result in more inbound calls, more service, more revenues for your business. So, that's really why internet marketing is so important. Feel free to pepper me with questions. That's the initial phase of the presentation. I'm going to move now into I'm going to move into demystifying the search engines and the differences between the different sections on the search engine. But if you have any questions on that initial portion on why internet marketing is important, pop the question in. I'm watching the questions box, and I'll be glad to answer those. So let's kind of demystify what's happening on the search engines when someone types in your city plus plumber, your city plus AC repair. And you can see on the screen here, there's 3 distinct sections of the search engine. There's the pay-per-click listings, the map listings, and the organic listings. And what I've got highlighted up along the top and along the sides is what we call the paid area, the pay-per-click listings. And really getting listed in that section on the search engines is a function of setting up an AdWords campaign with Google, and you can pick your keywords that you want to rank for and bid on a per-click basis in order to show up in that section. And that's the paid area of the search engine. So it's also known as pay-per-click. The area directly below that shows up with A, B, C, D, E, and F is the map listings. And that's driven by Google Places. And it's also controlled by Google. David, I see your question. I'm going to get to it just as soon as I get through this portion. And you can't buy your way into the map listings or that map section there. There's no way that you can tell Google, hey, I'll pay $1,500 a month if you put me in the spot A position. Google doesn't work that way. It's driven by the authority of your company and a number of other factors. I'm going to be going in depth into the specifics of how to get ranked on the map, but I just want you to understand that that's another section of the search engine. You can't buy your way into the map listings. And then there's the organic listing, which shows up below the map. Again, not driven by any cost factor. You can't buy your way into that. That's really a function of your website, the optimization of your website, your title tags. I'm going to be talking about that in the how to get ranked more in the organic section portion of the presentation. But I just want to be clear: there are 3 different sections on the search engines, and you need to have a separate strategy for each one. I guess before I go to the next here, I'm going to take a look at David. David Burry, thanks for your question. I appreciate it. How many of the calls are service calls versus information calls? You know, with call tracking, you do have the ability to listen to the conversations, especially if you have a recorded line. I mean, I couldn't give you an exact number on that. I wish I could tell you, 90% was service calls and 10% was information calls. I will tell you this client books a lot of revenue producing business from that. You're always going to have noise. You're going to get some percentage of it is people just fishing for information. I hope that answers your question. Feel free to ask a follow-up on that. And guys, let me know if you've got other questions. So we talked about the differences between the organic, the paid, and the map listings. The next question we typically get is, well, if I can pay my way into the paid listings, why don't I just do pay-per-click? Or the other question is, where should I invest my time and my energy? How can I invest my energy and get the best return on my investment? And I've pulled up a chart here on the screen, and you can see on the left we've got, which is where do people click when they're looking for information? Where are they going? What are they looking at? And this is another study that was produced by ComScore that indicates a large percentage of the population, more than 70%, their eyes skip right past the paid listing and they go straight to the organic listings. So you can probably say that that's because the average consumer realizes that the paid listing is indeed advertising, and it's kind of like if you go to, if you buy a magazine, are you looking at that magazine and saying, I'm going to look at the ads, or are you looking for the content? And for the most part, you're looking for the content, which would also kind of be considered the organic non-paid listings. The other image on the right is what's called a heat map, and special technology is used to see where the eyeball is looking when they pull up a screen. And this heat map just shows that the majority of people are looking directly at the map in the organic section. That's where they spend most of their time looking. So, I really feel like you want to have a strategy to show up as often as possible when people are looking for what you do. So you want to show up in the, in the paid area. You want to show up on the map, and you want to show up in the organic section. So you're showing up as often as possible, especially when someone types in, your city plus drain cleaning, your city plus plumber. But if you've got limited resources and you want to get the best return on investment, you're probably going to be best served to focus your time and your energy on the area where people look most, which, based on these 2 reports, is for the most part the organic and the map listings. Any questions on that, the differences between the paid, the organic, and the map listings? Obviously, keeping in mind that I'm going to be talking about each of these in more depth as we go through the presentation. Okay, so let's look at map listings. And like I said, one of the most commonly asked questions we get is, how do we get ranked on the map when someone types in my city plus plumber, my city plus plumbing? And that's a multifaceted question with multifaceted answer. There's not a one-size-fits-all answer to how do you get ranked on the map. There's a lot of moving parts. But the 3 main criteria for getting ranked on the map in your area is, first, having a claimed and optimized Google Places listing. And I'll talk about what that is and how you do that. The second is having a consistent NAT profile, name, address, phone number profile across the web. So, being referenced not just on Google Places, but on Google Places and Yahoo Local and CitySearch and Angie's List, with a consistent name, address, and phone number. The third really important criteria is reviews, and having legitimate reviews from your real customers in your real service area. And then through that, helping Google understand what your true service area is. So just because you put in Google Places that you're in Santa Monica, California, that doesn't mean you don't service a 30-mile radius and want to rank for all of those different areas. So really it comes down to these three criteria, and I'm going to go into depth on each of these. Claiming and optimizing your Google Places listing, having a consistent name, address, phone number profile, and having legitimate reviews from your customers in your true service area. So when I say claim your Google Places listing, there's a formal process for claiming your Google Places listing, and you can do that at google.com/places. Now, Google recently did change the name of Google Places to Google Plus Local, and the way that you find information about your company online on the map will take you to a Google Plus Local page. But at least for now, and still as of today, when you want to claim your listing and optimize your listing, you go to google.com/places, and you'll see an image just like the one that's on the screen. And it'll say if you're a consumer and you want to write reviews, you click the left. If you're the business owner and you want to claim your listing, you click the little Get Started on the right. If you haven't done this and you don't have a claimed Google Places listing for your business, I would say, write this down. Your main action from this meeting is go ahead and claim your Google Places listing. Got another question from Stephanie Pfeiffer. Let me look at this and see if I can answer this right off. Stephanie, I'm going to answer this, but I'm going to do it at the end of the Google Places portion of the presentation. So yeah, if you haven't done this, do it. Google.com/places. I'm going to talk through some of the best practices here on how to claim your Google Places listing. So a couple best practices. And when you go here, you click on Get Started. It'll ask you to type in your phone number. If you're already listed in Google Places, you have the opportunity at that point to claim it. If you and do what I'm about to explain. If you don't, you can just add all of the information and be added to Google Places. If you're already an established business that's been around for any period of time, more than 6 to 7 months, you're probably already going to exist in Google Places, and you need to claim and verify it. So just to give you an idea, once you've done that and you filled all of this out, Google gives you the option to verify via phone or postcard. Again, if you've got a claimed listing and you've been in business, usually Google will give you the option to claim via phone, at which point you get a phone call and you have the opportunity to punch in a PIN, and then you're a verified listing. If you're relatively new and Google doesn't already have you in their index, it may request that a postcard be sent to you, in which case you'll receive a postcard, and then you have the ability to take the PIN code from that postcard and enter it in your Google Places listing. Obviously, you want to do what's quickest and it's going to get the process started the soonest. So you want to typically use the phone number verification process. But as you go into your Google Places listing, whether you've already claimed it and you know exactly what I'm talking about and you have a Google dashboard where you know how to do this, or you haven't and you're starting new, here are some best practices for optimizing your Google Places listing. First of all, your company name needs to read your exact company name. So if you're Joe's Plumbing and Heating, you need to list your company as Joe's Plumbing and Heating. Don't add any additional keywords. There's some information online that would tell you, hey, you know what? To be clever, why don't you put it as Joe's Plumbing and Heating dash, your Dallas area plumber. And that way you're getting more keywords in the name of your business. Don't do that. It's going to hurt your potential for ranking. It's specifically against Google Places policies and procedures. And for the most part, you're probably going to wind up getting banned if you do that, or severely dinged. So you're not going to rank. You're going to wind up hurting yourself more than helping yourself. You have the option to add your website address. This is pretty obvious. You want to put your website address. It makes it easy for people to find more information about you. It also gives you a relatively powerful inbound link to your website. Use a local number. So you have the option to place a phone number. We've found that using an 800 number, Google doesn't like it, so you don't rank well with an 800 number. Plus, we've also found that local numbers within plumbing and HVAC businesses convert better. So when people see a local number, they're more apt to dial that than to dial an 800 number. You need to use on the same notion as far as talking about local numbers. Use your main number. Don't use some random tracking number. Like I was talking about earlier, use your tracking number. We like that. It's helpful to see what's happening. There are ways to use that on your website within imagery, but you want to use your actual main phone number on your Google Places listing, because it all comes down in the next section. I'm going to talk about having a consistent name, address, phone number profile. You need to use your main phone number in that section. Stacy, I see your questions here. I will get to these at the end of this section. So use the local number, use a local address. So if you've got a physical address for your business, obviously you're going to type in your address. Some of you might work from a home address. Some of you might work maybe from a virtual office of some sort or have a P.O. box. If you're going to rank on the Google map, you need to have a physical address. P.O. boxes, mailbox, etc. don't tend to rank very well. Actually, P.O. box won't rank at all. Sometimes mailboxes, etc. If you did it years ago, you might be able to get away with it. But that strategy, that avenue, is becoming less and less effective. So use your main address. On that same note, if you work from a home office, Google's changed its procedures a little bit. You can still rank with the home office. We have plenty of clients that rank very well in their city for their services from a home office. But Google requires that as you claim your listing, there's an option where it says, do customers visit you at your business, or do you go to them? And obviously on that you need to say you go to them. You're a home services business, so you're going out to the business. So you need to make sure that setting is checked, otherwise you're in violation. If you work from a home office, you need to click the button that says hide my address. You have the option to hide your address. You're not going to rank any worse because you hide your address. But if Google does a review of your listing, and they have been doing this over the last couple months, and they find that you didn't hide your address and you work from a home address, you're going to probably wind up seeing your listing disappear from the map. So hide your address if you work from a home office. You have the option to upload photos and videos to your Google Places listing. Do it. I mean, absolutely. You can add up to 10 pictures. You want to upload 10 pictures. You can add 5 videos. Add 5 videos. The one thing I'll say from this type of content, make it authentic, make it real. It's very easy to get that stock picture of the family standing in front of a truck, or the really handsome plumber with a wrench. That doesn't really resonate very well with your customers. What they want to see is real, authentic imagery. So take a picture of yourself. Take a picture, if you're the owner, have a picture of yourself in front of the truck. People love to see the images of all of the vans stacked up in order, your team standing in front of the trucks with smiles on their faces. But keep it real. Be who you are, and don't try and just lean on stock photography here. 2 advanced tips on how you can leverage the photos and the videos to get more juice from your Google Places listing. On your images, the ones that you have the opportunity to upload into Google Places, first of all, name them with your keyword. So if you're in Dallas and you're a plumber, name the image Dallas Plumbing Company - your company name. And then, do a couple variations, but name your images with your keywords. Do the same with your videos. You can upload your videos to youtube.com, connect them to your Google Places listing. You have the option when you upload videos to YouTube to tag it with an address, and that's in advanced settings. So I recommend you do that, because it gives Google the opportunity to see, okay, this is the Google Places listing, this is the YouTube channel where this video is hosted, and then they'll be able to follow that back to your actual business address. It just gives you more geo context to your information. On the same note with photos, there are a number of video sharing sites that you can look at. The best one for right now is Panoramio. It's also owned by Google, just like YouTube is owned by Google, and it gives you the ability to geotag your photo. So save your image with the keyword, upload it to Panoramio, link it to your Google Places listing, and now your Google Places listing not only has great information for consumers where they come in and they can see who you are and what you do, but they also have the ability to for Google to follow those images and follow those videos back to their properties, YouTube and Panoramio, and see some more geographic context to where all of that information is listed. Again, I already talked about verifying via phone if possible. We actually have an instruction guide that talks you step by step through the process of claiming your Google Places listing, how you can leverage Panoramio and YouTube. You can download that completely free. This isn't a paid guide. It's completely free at plumberseo.net/Google-Places. And I've got it up on the screen. You can email me afterwards as well if you'd like that direct link. Before I go on to establishing your NAP, I want to see if I can answer any of these questions. So Stacy, do our Places listings have the same process as Google? Where do you get the postcard and confirm via code or phone number? Okay, so she's asking how she verifies. So when you go to google.com/places, you're gonna get this screen, and then it takes you to a screen where you can type in your business address and phone number. When Google takes you here, and let's say you verify via postcard, a few days later, a postcard's gonna come to you with the PIN code. What you want to do is go back to google.com/places, log in with your Google username and password that you used, and then there'll be a slot right next to your business name where you can enter your PIN, and that's how you verify. I hope that answers your question. Stephanie, our Google Places listing is actually the wrong name. I've been waiting for Google to send me a postcard saying the name has been fixed. Should I wait and get the postcard before we try to get reviews? Yes, I would say you do want to wait. This is one of the things where Google is a little bit fickle and the information doesn't flow as nicely as we probably all like. So if you update your name and now your listing is showing as pending, Google may or may not approve it. So wait for your postcard, enter your PIN, hold out to see that the listing is actually showing up on Google Places correctly, then proactively get reviews. Because we've seen it where you get 4 or 5 reviews, Google is in a review process, they decide they don't want to keep your name as you changed it, and your reviews go away. So yeah, if you're asking whether you should hold off, I would suggest probably a good idea. Wouldn't hurt to push the reviews to Yelp.com or to BingLocal.com or to Angie's List. Those are all really valuable review sites where people can write reviews. And your Google Places reviews, they won't show up on Google Places, but they'll come into play when it comes to ranking on the map. Hope that answers your question, Stephanie. I appreciate these questions. Keep them coming. Okay, so let's talk about the other critical component of establishing your NAP, or your name, address, phone number across the web. So Google wants to rank companies on the map that it considers to be the most credible players in the market, so that the consumer, when they're looking online, they go to Google and they type in, your city plus plumber, they find a good company and they get good service and they feel happy that they used Google to find that information. So if you can help Google provide more valuable information to your consumers, well, Google's happier because it gets more traffic to its site and then it can sell more paid ads. So how do you help Google know that you're a credible player in your market? You develop citations and a consistent name, address, phone number for those citations. And a citation is just a reference of your company's name, address, and phone number. So up here on the screen, you've got this crazy, graph of arrows pointing here, there, and everywhere. The main idea behind this is Google doesn't just want to see that you're on Google Places. It wants to see that you're on Bing Local and CitySearch and Angie's List and Judy's Book. And so part of this name, address, phone number profile thing is making sure that you're on all of those other online sites, but also that you have a consistent name, address, and phone number. What we find in a lot of cases is our clients that have been around, 15, 20 years, they're existing in a lot of these places. They're on Yellow Pages, and they're on Angie's List, and they're on Local.com, but there's a lot of inconsistency. So the name is listed differently, the phone number might be different, there might be an 800 number listed, and so that muddies up your name, address, phone number profile. So if you need to have a strategy in place to go into these online directory listings and establish whatever that consistent name, address, and phone number is going to be. So the thought process that you want to do is spend some time to figure out how your name should be reflected. So if you're, again, Joe's Plumbing and Heating, You want to be Joe's Plumbing and Heating, and that's it. Not Joe's Plumbing, not Joe's Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. It needs to be the same. So decide what your name is. Pick the right address. You know, if you've got a primary location, that's an easy equation. But if you worked from a home address for a little bit and then you move to a different address, well, which one's on Google Places? Which one's online? You got to make that consistent. And the same with the phone numbers. On your Angie's List, on your CitySearch, use your primary number. Don't use a tracking number in these places. Don't use an 800 number. Use the main number. So when Google looks across the web for Joe's Plumbing and Heating, it's seeing the same address and the same phone number consistently referenced. I don't mean to beat a dead horse on that one. It seems like I'm saying the same thing again and again, but it's critically important. You know, if you want to rank well on the map, you got to pay attention to the details as far as this NAP information is concerned, the name, address, phone number. So, Erica, I've got your question here. Erica says, we've signed up with Google Places and claimed it, but it does not show up on maps. We do, however, show up in Google AdWords. How do I get it to show up? So you've claimed your Google Places listing. That's a great start. You're showing up in AdWords, and like I was telling you before, AdWords is the paid listings along the top and along the side. You know, that's just a function of having a budget and a pay-per-click campaign, and you're going to show up in that section. The way you rank better on the map or get your company to rank on the map is making sure you optimize, following some of those tips and strategies I just told you about, establishing your NAP so you're consistently being referenced on all of these directories so Google sees the authority of your organization, and then getting reviews. And I'm going to share some ideas on how you guys can get reviews in a second. Stacy has another question. Stacy's question is, does Bing, Yahoo, etc. follow the same process though? I've already done Google. Yeah, Bing has a similar process. If you go to Bing local, and the reason I focus on Google is because more than 80% of all search happens directly on Google.com. If you go to Bing and you type in Bing local listing center, it'll take you to a place where you can do the same thing. And you want to follow these same strategies, right? So add the images, add the photos. Yahoo also, claim my local listing on Yahoo. You want to do them. Again, that comes back to citation development. But Google's the 800-pound gorilla. And then Stephanie has a question. We have a video on YouTube. Should we have them on the Google Places, or are they automatically pulled over by Google? That's a great question. Yes, you do want to put them on your Google Places listing. No, they're not automatically going to get pulled over. So you do need to go back into your Google Places dashboard, copy and paste those. Google is in a transitionary phase right now where it's merging Google Places and Google Plus Local. So some of those tools are changing on a daily basis. So there's some changes there, but you definitely want to go and bring or copy those links to those YouTube videos to your Google Places listing. And before you do that, in your YouTube video, adjust the advanced settings and geotag it. I hope that answers your question. Yes, you want your videos in there. Okay. Let's move. So again, going back to the establishment of the NAP, you want to be sure that you're listed on the main online directory sites like Bing, Local, and CitySearch, and Angie's List, and Judy's Book, and Local.com. If you want a list of the most authoritative citation sources, or the most authoritative places where you can get these citations or references to your company's name, address, and phone number, again, plumberseo.net/Google-Places. We have a list of all of those citation sources that you want to get. So the third critical component for getting ranked on the map is having reviews. And not just having a bulk of reviews, but really having real, true reviews from your true customers in your real service area. And you'll notice, at least in your market, you'll notice that the companies that have the most reviews tend to rank best. And it's not even a quality thing. Sometimes you'll even see, a company with 50 reviews, an average review rating of 2 stars, ranking well. So the people are writing bad reviews, but they're still ranking well, and it's because they've got the quantity of reviews, and reviews are important. So let's talk about how you can get reviews from your real customers onto your Google Places listing and other online directory sites. the first thing is you have to make it a part of your business process. So the best way to get a review is to ask for a review. Unfortunately, you can't just tell your customer, you can't just provide good service and then sit back and hope that someone's going to go out and write you a review. Sometimes they will, but you need to really start the process of thanking your customers for their business and then soliciting, or not soliciting, but requesting that they go ahead and share some feedback for you. So the methodology we like to put in place for this is start by developing an email list with your sphere of influence. So your recently happy customers, your family, your friends, of course with the caveat that they have used your business and have some experience with you, and develop that list of your core sphere of influence. Just the name and the email address, and send an email out to your, to that sphere of influence saying, hey, just wanted to let you know, we're looking to take our online marketing efforts to the next level, and it would really help us out. Again, these are your friends, so they want to help you. It would really help us out if you take a few minutes and write us a review, and then send them a direct link to your Google Places listing, or your Angie's List listing, or CitySearch listing, wherever you really want to get more reviews, so they can write that review for you. But make it easy. Another way to really even simplify this a little bit is to create a page on your website, yourcompany.com/reviews, and on that page have the major icons. So have Google Places, and have CitySearch, and have Angie's List, and give them direct links to your directory listings on these sites. Make it real simple for them to write reviews. And the reason you want to give them options is twofold. So having options, obviously, you need, from Google's perspective, not just to have reviews on Google Places or Google Plus Local. You need to have reviews on CitySearch and Angie's List and Yelp.com to be authentic and to seem real. The other reason is it's different people use different online properties. So some people are big-time Google users, and it's real easy for them because they've got a Gmail account, they've got a YouTube channel, they already know how Google works. They can just go to google.com and write a review. However, if somebody's never used Google and they don't have a Gmail account, and they don't have a username and password, if you tell them, hey, write me a review on Google Places, they're going to get there, they're going to try and write you a review. Google's going to tell them they have to have a Google account in order to do so. They're going to get confused, and they're going to probably wind up abandoning ship. Now, that same person might be a really active Yelp user and write reviews on Yelp on a daily basis for every restaurant that they go to. Well, if you gave them the option to write you a review on Yelp, they'd probably jump right on Yelp and write you a review. So you want to make it easy for your customers to write reviews. I got another question from Stephanie. Do people have to be members of Google? Actually, that was exactly what I was saying. Yeah, they need to be a member in order to write that review. So that's why you want to give them options. So once you sent that initial, request out, that's great. You're going to get some quick traction, right? Some reviews, and you want to get 5 reviews on your Google Places listing as soon as possible, just because it gives you that extra, threshold of authority. The second thing you want to do is print out some very simple review request cards. So, print out a postcard-sized card that says, "Hey, thanks for your business. Please write us a review." And on that, just tell them to go to yourcompany.com/reviews. Again, set up a page there where you can have direct access to your various review sites, and start handing that out. Make it part of your practice. Train your technicians to hand that out after service. Hey, thanks for your business. Here's a card if you could. We'd really love to get your feedback. The other thing you want to do in order to really make this part of your day-to-day practice is start to collect the names and email addresses of your customers. And I know some of you have really robust customer relationship management systems, and some of you don't. Some of you are just working off of an iPhone. Either way, you want to start to ask for the email address of the customer. And for the most part, ask for that at the point of scheduled appointment as opposed to at the end of the service call. We've implemented these types of solutions for plumbing and HVAC contractors throughout the United States. And what we found is if you wait until the service has already been rendered to ask for the email address, so you go to the customer's house, you provide the service, you're getting paid, and you're walking out the door. Hey, by the way, can I get your email address? The customer's going to kind of say, no. Why would I? What's in it for me? Why would I give you my email address so that you can spam me with emails? No, thank you. and your request to capture ratio on something like that will be very low. However, if you just change your process, and at the point where the appointment is being booked, so hey, thanks for calling Joe's Plumbing. How can I help you? Yeah, I need to have an appointment scheduled for somebody to come look at my my burst pipe. Great, I can get somebody out there right away. By the way, let me get your email address so that I can send you a confirmation of the appointment and the address for the house and all of that information. But if you ask for it on the front end, you're going to get a much higher adoption rate, and you're going to get more customers giving you their email address so that you can keep in contact with them. You can send them information, but also you want to have a practice where you're always sending an email after service. First of all, thanking them for their business. Second of all, asking them to go ahead and write your review, either directly to Google Places or to that section on your site that gives them the option to write the reviews. I think you guys can see if you start to do this on a consistent basis, you're going to start to get real reviews from your real customers in your true geographic area, which is going to help you not only with ranking better on the map, which is important, but also helps with conversion. A customer that's thinking about doing business with you and sees 45 reviews on various review sites from real people, well, guess what? You just bought a lot of credibility, and you're going to get that business over the guy that doesn't have any reviews. So there's a secret weapon available that can help you really kind of automate this entire process. It's called Nearby Now, and it's a web-based tool that ultimately you guys can download to your iPhones. And what it does is it gives you and your technicians the ability to check in while they're out in the field. So I've got the image of, let's just call this Joe the plumber, and he's standing in front of the house. When he goes to the house, the first thing he wants to do is take out his phone and check in on Nearby Now. When he does that, the GPS data that's already being pushed from the phone, and of course this works on Androids and iPhones and iPads, but it needs to be some type of smart device, captures the GPS data and plots on the map where that service call took place. Now, Nearby Now starts to develop a heat map, which is showing where you and your technicians are checking in, and here's the real important thing, in your true service area. So now you've got a heat map showing where your technicians are checking in. That information can be pulled to your website, pushed to your social media profiles, and then most importantly pushed back to Google, so Google starts to see what your true service area is. I mean, this is really important. And then it helps to automate the review request process, because after that service call, an email can go out to the customer without you guys having to think about it, automatically doing that thanks for the business and requesting the review, and really automating that request for review process. So that's called Nearby Now. It just helps to automate that review request process. You can download or learn more about that at nearbynow.co/plumber SEO. It's on the screen at the very bottom. So I'd encourage you to take a look at that. So just to recap, the key elements for getting your company ranked on the Google map. It's a little more complicated than, kind of meets the eye, but the reality is you want a claimed Google Places listing. You need to optimize that Google Places listing, establish citations and a consistent name, address, phone number on all of the major online directory sites, and then put a process in place to consistently get reviews from your real customers in your real service area. And so that's really the strategy that you need to implement in order to rank better on the map in your market. I've answered questions throughout the course of that. If anybody has them, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to move into the organic listings and how you can get ranked more in the non-paid listings, non-map listings. The tendency here might be, hey, well, if I'm not ranking in the map, then I'm not showing up in the first 10 listings or first 7 listings. What's the point of even thinking about organic? For the keyword, your city plus plumber, your city plus plumbing, the map always shows up. And you want to have a strategy to rank on the map. However, for the keywords like your city plus drain cleaning, your city plus train AC specialist, your city plus trenchless sewer repair, the map doesn't show up. And so you want to know how to optimize your website so that you can rank for not just your city plus plumber, but for the other keywords that are important to your business as well. So there are 3 core components that come into getting your company ranked better in the organic section. The first is you need to have more placeholders. You need to have more pages on your website for the specific services that you offer so that Google can really know and put you in the index for the right words. I'm going to talk about that in more depth. Then you need to optimize your website and those pages. And there's some very specific, relatively simple things you can do on each of the pages of your website to make sure Google understands what that page is about and can add you to the index for that right keyword. And then from there, really what you need is more authority. You need more links from credible sources and other websites online back to your homepage and to those various subpages so that you can rank on page 1 for the words that are most important to you. But this all really starts with keyword research. You need to know what keywords people are typing into the search engines when they're looking for plumbing and HVAC related services so that you can focus your energy on the right words. So up on the screen, I've got here the most commonly searched plumbing specific keywords. Plumber, plumbing contractor, emergency plumber, leak detection, repiping, and the list goes on and on. From an AC repair perspective, you've got air conditioning, air conditioner, furnace, heater repair, and the list goes on and on there as well. It would be no sense for me to really go through each one of these in depth. If you want to download this list, we have a complete list available on our site at plumberseo.net/free. There you can get that information. So when I say you need to have more pages and more placeholders, when I look at a typical plumbing or HVAC website, typically what I find is home, about us, our services, coupons, contact us. So like 4 or 5 pages. If you want to rank for more of these words, more of the things that you do, you need to create pages for each one of your core services. Every page on your website can really be only optimized for between 1 and 2 keyword combinations. So if you do leak detection, if you do water heater repair, if you do train AC installation, for instance, you need to have a specific page on your website that's specifically optimized for each one of those keyword combinations. And so the easy way to look at this, if you look at the verses down below where it says SEO build out for a plumbing site, you still want home, about us, coupons, and contact us, but you also want subpages for each of your services. So your city emergency plumber, your city leak detection, your city toilet repair, your city water heater installation, etc., etc. You also want a page on your site for each one of the little cities that you operate in. So if you're in Miami and you want to rank for your city, Miami plumber, Miami plumbing, you also want to rank for the little cities in and around your area. We find that the typical, plumbing or HVAC contractor is servicing between a 30 and 50 mile radius. So you need to build pages for those little cities that you want to rank for as well, because I can assure you there's a lot more than just your main city, and your consumer isn't going to type in just Los Angeles. They're going to type in the little city that they happen to be in. So you need to have a strategy to cover both the big cities and the suburbs and the little cities in between. You do that by creating subpages on your website for each one of those. So that's really what you need to do. You need to create more pages so you have more placeholders. From there, you need to optimize the website, and you need to optimize the pages on the website. So we talked about your homepage, for instance. If I look at a typical homepage for a plumbing company, in a lot of cases, that homepage title tag, which is, this bar along the very top, you can see it says title tag with the arrow pointing to it. That's what your title tag is, and that's how you can see it. Typically, what we find is that title tag is Joe's Plumbing Service and the name of the company. What you want it to be is the keyword or your main keyword, especially on your homepage, that you want to rank for. So if you're Miami Plumber, rather than calling your title of your homepage, Joe's Plumbing, you want to call it, Miami Plumber, Joe's Plumbing Service, emergency plumber in Miami. By doing that, you can make it very easy for Google to understand that you're a plumber in Miami, and that's what you want to do, not just on your homepage, but for the subpages as well. So if you built a page for Miami Emergency Plumbing, well then you want to change the title tag to that specific title. And if you created the drain cleaning page, you want to, your city drain cleaning services. And that title tag, if you don't do anything else that I'm talking about in this presentation, but you go back to your website and you say, what's my main keyword? And then you change your title tag to have that main keyword as far to the left as possible, you'll notice the major impact on your positioning in the search engines. So there's a lot of things really from an on-page SEO perspective that you can do. For the purposes of this presentation, I'm just going to focus on the 80-20 rule. So the 20% of the changes that you can do that'll make more than 80% of the impact. Each of your pages should have a unique title tag. That's this top area here that I was talking about on the previous page. Then you need a unique H1 tag. So if your page that I'm talking about here, let's just say it's your drain cleaning page. You want the title to be your city drain cleaning specialist, for instance. Then you'd want your H1 tag to say, you're a drain cleaning specialist in your city. Then the images on your page, you want to name them. So drain cleaning specialist in Los Angeles, for instance. And you want to name it that way. Then you can also include the keyword in your URL. So yourcompany.com/Los Angeles drain cleaning.html, for instance. So you can be creative with how you add your keywords to the URL. And then you can submit a sitemap once you've finished, and you've got all of these pages for each one of your services and each one of your sub-cities. Submit a sitemap, an XML sitemap through Google Webmaster Tools, so Google knows exactly what each of these pages are and can actually make sure that they're indexed. It's not as complicated as it sounds. If you just go to Google and you type in XML sitemap generator, a number of tools will come up that'll help you facilitate that process. So these are just some things that you can do to optimize your website and the pages on your website. But ultimately, having the right pages gets you in the index. So now you've got a page for your city plus plumber, your city plus drain cleaning, your city plus water heater repair. That means you're going to show up somewhere on the search engines. Maybe it's page 11 on the search engines. Doesn't mean you're ranking on page 1. It just means you're in the index. So what actually does it take to get that specific page to move from position, from page 11 to page 1? Ultimately, it all comes down to the number of inbound links pointing to your website. And it's not necessarily just quantity, it's quality. So you need good quality inbound links pointing to your website and to the pages on your website to rank better, because he who has the most quality inbound links will win this battle. So let's just share some ideas and strategies on how you can get some of these inbound links. And again, the questions are open. I know I'm covering a lot of information relatively quickly. Feel free to throw some questions at me on this. So how can you get inbound links? Well, the low-hanging fruit is associations, buying groups, and affiliations that you're a member of. So you're a member of the PHCC, you're on today's webinar. Go to the PHCC and ask them for a link in the members section. Go to your local chapter and make sure that you've got a link to your website from the chapter website. If you're a member of the local Chamber of Commerce, if you're a member of some major buying group, each one of these organizations have websites, and you can request a link to your website from those various places. The directory citation development process I was talking about, going on to Bing Local and Angie's List and CitySearch and Judy's Book and the plumbing directory and eLocal Plumber and all of these different things. By adding yourself there with your name, address, and phone number, they usually let you add a website address, so you can get a link from that. But really, the best way to create good inbound links to your website is creating content. And so writing articles that are interesting to the general public that you happen to be expert at, how to properly maintain your water heater, or, the difference between copper and PVC piping. If you create that kind of content and you add it to your blog and you push it out to blog sites and you make it available online, you can have a link to your website in that specific piece of content, and it creates more inbound links to your site. Stephanie has a question. Is it true that having inbound links from certain directories online can actually hurt your ranking? The answer to that question, unfortunately, is yes. Google has made some changes to their algorithm, and if you add yourself to what they call reciprocal linking sites, where you add your website and I'll add you to my website, and you're linking to them, they're linking to you, that can be construed by Google's perspective and by Google's bots that you're trying to spam the system, you're trying to cheat the system. So yeah, be careful. the main directories, Google and Yahoo and Bing and CitySearch, those, are well above board. Specifically, plumbing specific directories are great. Local directories, your city directory, your city business listings are great. But yeah, especially if you start to buy links in bad places, that can hurt your ranking. So yeah, good question, Stephanie. The other real good strategy for getting inbound links is do competitive link acquisition. And this is key. If we go to Google and we type in your city plus plumber or your city plus HVAC contractor, inevitably page 1 has listings. And the companies that are in the first, second, third, fourth down the list position are there because they've got the right stuff on their website. They've got the proper on-page optimization. They've got the authority inbound links. And he who has the most quality and quantity of inbound links wins. So you can start to look at the guys that are on page 1 for your keywords and do some research to figure out what links they have to their website and get those same or similar links pointed back to yours. And so one way to do this would be go to yahoo.com, type in link:yourcompany.com or your competitors' competition.com, and Google will give you some ideas on who's linking to them. Another great tool for this is called Majestic SEO. You can just search Majestic SEO, and you can put in your competitor's website address, and it will give you some good links. There's a number of tools that do this, but putting a process in place to systematically look at who's linking to your competition and getting those same or similar link back to you is a really good practice. And that's, over time, how you can outrank your competition. Creating good content and getting those same or similar inbound links. Oops. So I know I'm getting close to my time, so I'm going to kind of press through. Feel free to let me know if you have questions. Wayne told me I could go 15 minutes over without any issues, so hopefully you guys will stick with me. I hope you're all getting a lot of value out of this. So the most important online directories, and I mentioned that there was a time where you could buy a full page ad in the Yellow Pages, and you had good saturation. You knew that at least 80 or 90% of the population, when they were looking for a plumber, would find you. Well, the internet has fragmented that, because now they're not just going to Google. They're going to Google, they're going to Bing, they're going to CitySearch, they're going to Angie's List, and there are a variety of online directory sites where you can have paid advertising and get eyeballs and find those people when they're looking for what you do. And so I just wanted to share some of the ones that we've found to be highly profitable and highly productive. At the top of my list for plumbing and HVAC is Angie's List. We found our clients that are doing the best have a lot of reviews on Angie's List, are well positioned in Angie's List, and they wind up getting a lot of business as a result of it. So, if you were to look at any paid advertising from a directory perspective, my first vote would be towards Angie's List. The two others you might want to consider are Yelp.com and CitySearch.com. Those tend to be pretty good as well. But there's a number of them. Kudzu.com, obviously YellowPages.com, depending upon where you're at, whether it's DexKnows, Kudzu.com. All great sources for online paid listings, which can give you better eyeballs. So let's talk about social media and social media marketing, how it applies to plumbing and HVAC contractors. When I talk to plumbing and AC repair contractors, typically what I hear is, yeah, Josh, that's great. I understand that Facebook has a huge number of users. I understand that everybody and their mother is tweeting, but I don't understand how that's going to apply to my business or how I can get more inbound calls or more opportunity from it. And the best and easiest way for me to explain it is to ask a question. And that's, what's the number one source of business for you right now? Where are you getting the majority of your customers? And I'm not going to ask you all to type in that answer because I wouldn't have time to calculate the answers. But typically what I find is the majority of you are right now just thinking in your head, well, most of my business comes from repeat and referral-based business. My happy customers that are using me again and referring me to their friends. Well, Facebook gives you the ability to take that, or social media gives you the ability to take that repeat and referral business and really take it to a whole nother level, because the average Facebook user has 135 friends. And if you can put a strategy in place to get your active customer to go out and press the like button, By virtue of them pressing like, they've exposed you to 135 of their closest friends and their sphere of influence. And it's almost like as if they sent out a personal note saying, hey friends, I found this really good plumbing contractor in our area. The next time you need a plumber, give them a call. So I think you get the idea that there's a lot of potential for this repeat and referral opportunity. The other piece of that is when they press like to you, they've given you permission to remain completely top of mind with them. So if you're consistently putting new information out on your social media profiles, well, guess what? Now you can continue to push that information and remain top of mind with that customer. So let's talk about where you can leverage social media. What are the ones or the social media profiles that you want to get engaged with right away that are going to start to help you get this, increase in repeat referral business? You want to start with Facebook. You want to have a Facebook profile for your business. You want a Twitter account. You want a LinkedIn account. You want a YouTube channel, and you should have a YouTube channel anyway, so that you can put your videos online and link them to your Google Plus. To your Google Plus page. But you should be putting information out on YouTube anyways. Simple videos. I'm not talking about high production value. Just an iPhone shot video of yourself explaining who you are, what you do. Goes a long ways. You want to have a Google Plus page, and this is the new Facebook or the new social media profile created by Google. But as a local business, you have to have a Google Plus page because your Google Places listing is now driven by Google Plus, and it's starting to have an impact on how you rank in the search engines. So set up a Google Plus page, and you should have a blog, and it should be associated with your domain. So it should be yourcompany.com/blog on your domain name, where as you create the content I was talking about earlier, as you create information, you put it to your blog, then you share it to your social media profiles. But these are the main profiles that I think you need to have in place as a plumbing and HVAC business. So how do you get started? How can you start to get a following? Because you can have a beautiful Facebook page and a beautiful Twitter account and lots of videos on YouTube, but if none of your customers are using it and none of them have pressed the like, subscribe, follow buttons, you don't have much to show for it. So again, the best place to start is to start to think about your circle of influence. Your friends, your past customers, the people that like, and trust. Put together an email list of these folks and send an email out. And just send something simple. Hey, wanted to let you know we've set up these social media profiles and we'd love to have you become part of our community. And if it's friends and family, just tell them, go ahead and press the like button, press the follow button, press the subscribe button. If you're sending out to your customer base, maybe you want to offer them something of value, some incentive to press that like, subscribe, follow button. And so it could be a discount off the next purchase. It could be something of value that you could offer them for free. But it will go a long ways by having these people engaging with you on social media. And once you've got that, you need to have a process where you're systematically inviting your new customers to engage with you on social media. So having, again, that process where you're getting the email address of your customers on the front end and then sending out messages after service, thanking them for their business, asking for the review, the next logical touch is, hey, by the way, we're active in these social media profiles. We'd love to have you engage with us. Here's an incentive for you to press that like, subscribe, or follow button. And this is what you get in return. You get a following of your true customers, which will help you get that repeat referral business. And then, of course, once you've got that following, you need to start to put out content. Because if you have 1,000 followers on Facebook and you're not putting any information out, well, that's not going to do you much good either. So you need to put at least a daily post on your social media profiles, a minimum a weekly post of just information. Don't promote on your social media profiles. Put out valuable information. Tips and ideas on how to better maintain your cooling or heating system. Updates on what's going on in your local market. And of course, occasionally that discount coupon off your next service or a special offer of some sort. But the most important thing is to engage with your customers. So even if you have just like 50 people following you on Facebook or have liked you on Facebook, they're putting information out on their social profiles. Hey, it was Billy's birthday. Or, hey, Jeannie just turned, 33. You can put a little post out there that says, hey, happy birthday, enjoy your weekend. Simple things like that. True engagement is where social media starts to really take things to the next level. So that's what you want to do. You need to be putting out fresh information on an ongoing basis and engaging with your customer base. So just to recap, I know we went through a lot of information. We talked about map optimization. The key thing you need to do in order to make sure you're showing up better on the map in your area, you need to claim your Google Places listing at google.com/places. You need to optimize it with the things I was telling you about. Establish your name, address, phone number profile, and start to consistently get new reviews from your real customers in your real geographic area. You need to build out your website for SEO in order to rank better. You need to build out the pages for each one of your services, update the title tags and the on-page optimization, and then get inbound links from credible sources back to your website so you can rank better for the keywords that are most important to you. And for social media, you need to get involved in social media, set up your social media profiles, and start to consistently post information in a way that's going to help you get more repeat and referral business. And then leverage email as the way to remain top of mind with your customers and get those customers engaged with you online. So I've gone a little bit over my time. I hope you found this information useful. I hope you found it valuable. I mentioned a couple times that you could download some additional resources free at plumberseo.net/free. There you can download the guide that takes you step by step through a lot of this stuff in more depth. Of course, if you'd like help, if you're the type of organization that would say, you know what, I'd like to have you guys do this for me, or I'd like to have somebody that can really take this ball and run with it on my behalf and get me results, we'd love to talk with you. I mean, obviously, that's what we do here at Plumber SEO. You can reach us directly at 866-610-4647. We'd love the opportunity to talk with you. And what other questions do I have? I can see I've still got people on the line. So if you have any other questions, I'll hang out for another 10 minutes or so. If not, again, I really appreciate the opportunity to share this information. I hope you found value in it, and hope to have been of service. Thank you, David. I appreciate that. Thanks, Nikki. Really appreciate your time.
Sorry about that, everyone. Had a connection problem here. Josh, can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that. I'd like to remind everyone, if they have any more questions, please type it into the bottom right side. And as a reminder, I will be sending out a follow-up email with a link to rewatch the presentation, as well as a link to download the PowerPoint. Hey Josh, it looks like we might be out of questions.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate it.
Okay. And if anyone has any more questions, feel free to contact me or Josh, and we can get those questions answered as well.
Excellent. Have a great day.